Hi everyone, it's Kute here, giving you a shout out. You know, recently I've had a lot of clients and friends who have been going through a lot of changes, but especially in the area of their relationship. You know, relationship is one of those areas that no matter how enlightened you are, no matter how evolved you are, no matter how much you've meditated and levitated and elevated, you know, tends to be an intense spiritual transformational process that will bring up your stuff. Relationship and romance and love is one of those areas where you can have the information. You can know what you know. You can, you can have all the great theory. But when you jump into a relationship and you start feeling all sorts of feelings and you start feeling love, all the theory, the intellect, the philosophy goes out the window and now you are in it. It will bring up everything that's unresolved inside of you to show you where you are at. Do you know what I'm saying? It's intense. I think it's one of the most profound spiritual paths to your own spiritual evolution, to show you the aspects of yourself that are not yet enlightened, not yet integrated, not yet evolved, or not yet fully aligned. And if you're willing to dive into relationship in that way, you will transform your relationship to relationship and free yourself while you're in a relationship, regardless of what happens to the relationship itself. And I've had a lot of clients that have been together for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years that are actually now going through turmoil and challenges in relationships. And the question they keep asking is, how do I know when my relationship is over? How do I know when to break up with my partner? How do I know when that moment's the case? I love this person. I kind of want to be with this person, or I love this person, but how do I know when a relationship's over? Is there like a formula? So I like to say there's no formula. That the purpose of relationship is for growth, is for evolution. Two people coming together with a common commitment for growth, where one person shows up and says, I will commit to serving you, to loving you, and to assisting you and serving your soul to evolve as a soul mate. And another person says, yes, I commit to serving you, assisting you, serving you to evolve mind, body, soul, and committing to your evolutionary process as your soul mate. And those two people now have a relationship where you commit to serving and loving each other and evolving into becoming more and more and more and more of higher versions of who you truly are, revealing more and more and more of your true selves together as mates of the soul, as teachers to each other, as gurus, as lovers, as mates, as significant others that are really significant to each other's growth. That is, to me, a sacred commitment of what love relationship is really about. Where you are also both moving in a similar direction, in a similar rate, at a similar pace, with a similar intention. Now, what I find is when two people are growing consistently and evolving together, then the relationship can keep expanding, and different dimensions of yourselves and different dimensions of the relationship can keep actually revealing itself. The challenge happens where one of you keep evolving and growing and growing and growing and growing, and the other person doesn't. Or when one of you keeps growing in a whole different direction that is completely no longer compatible with this person over here, and this person grows over here, and you both realize that you are going in completely opposite directions. One of the painful things is when we're constantly trying to get the other person to be some idealized notion or version of who we want them to be. And you'll realize, if you've tried, that doesn't work. To try and get that person to be the idea of what you want them to be, even if you think what you want them to be is evolved or is a good thing, it doesn't work. It doesn't lead to true happiness. So what I found is when you're in a relationship, or when, no matter how long it's been, whether it's a year, whether it's 5 years, whether it's 10 years, where you're no longer moving in a similar direction at a similar pace, and you find yourself no longer growing and evolving in this relationship. So ask yourself, am I growing, am I evolving in this relationship? Is my partner growing and evolving in this relationship? Are we becoming more and more and more and more of who we truly are in this relationship as a result of being together? Or are we just staying stagnant? Am I just staying stagnant? Is he staying, she staying stagnant in this relationship? Is it allowing greater levels of true, authentic freedom? Not superficial freedom, which is doing whatever you want, whenever you want, wherever you want, with whoever you want to, but real freedom being accessing the truth of who you are. Is this relationship allowing me to evolve into the fullness of who I am? And am I growing, and are we growing together in that adventure and exploration? If the answer is yes, you are in a relationship. Whether it's challenging, whether it's intense, so long as the answer is yes, and you both have the commitment to serving each other's growth and evolution, even if it's intense, you're in a relationship. Now, if you're at that place where you're no longer growing, you're no longer evolving, the relationship is no longer allowing both of you the freedom to be who you are, and you've stopped growing, and you now no longer have the commitment to serving your partner's growth and evolution as a being and as a soul, and you now are in a place where you're like, I'm no longer committed to that, I believe that that's when you know that your relationship is over. If you're choosing to no longer serve that person, realizing also that you're no longer growing, your relationship is over. If your relationship is no longer allowing you to blossom, yes, you can then realize there is an opportunity for you to realize and have a communication and a conversation with your partner to see if they're truly, authentically open to evolving and growing and expanding and serving you and serving each other. And then you can reinvent the current form of the relationship that is into a new expanded vision and expanded form of what the relationship can be and will be, based on your joint commitment. But it takes joint commitment. But if you or your partner are no longer willing to commit to each other's growth and evolution, no longer willing to commit to growing individually and commit to serving each other in that, then you grow apart and your relationship is over. That's how you know. But to me, it takes great courage to be willing to acknowledge that, because sometimes we get comfortable in comfortable routines, we get comfortable with the same person, we get comfortable in a comfort zone, we get a little uncomfortable with the unknown possibilities. But I believe if you're willing to walk the path of your heart, to be authentic, to keep growing, to keep evolving, the form of your relationship might change. The physical form may change, so you get to actually decide and feel into what's the new form and structure of the relationship that actually allows and encourages and invites more love to be expressed between you both. Perhaps it's not the form that it was anymore. It might now be the form of friendship. It might now be the form of just business partners. What is the new form that allows for more love to flow? Because to me, ultimately, it's about how can we expand the loving? How can we keep evolving and expanding the loving? Because so long as that's there, the forms might change, but the loving can stay consistent. The forms might change because all forms are impermanent, but the loving can stay consistent. And I believe that if you're consistently loving, if you're consistently giving, expressing love, and being more and more and more and more of the expanded love that we are all destined to be as our highest potential capacity, then there's no such thing as a break up in a traditional sense. There is just a thing as a break up. You know, you are elevating upwards and expanding upwards. You're breaking up. Not a kind of breakdown, you're breaking up into a kind of, you know, you're letting go of the old forms to expand into a higher version of love that you are. And if you follow that path, then no matter what the end outcome, even if the form of the relationship ends, or the relationship that was ends and you find a new form together, or you reinvent the relationship you're in and keep going, there will be more love that expresses. And at the bottom line, I think the question we have to ask ourselves is, am I being myself fully? Am I being myself authentically? Am I experiencing more and more and more freedom in this relationship? Am I truly growing, becoming more and more of who I am in this relationship? And am I loving fully? If the answer is yes, keep Go in, dive in, dive in, dive in. And if the answer is no, it might be time for a break up so that you can find your true self now. Love you lots.